I'm not going to waste any time here. I just want to jump right into it. By now, if you've spent any time poking your head around the remote sales industry, you've seen a bunch of gurus and online marketers making wild claims. Their goal is to flood the industry with people. They get paid based on volume. So that is their number one focus. And when you're pumping $300,000 a month into ads, you need a lot of people. When you have big infrastructure, you need a lot of people, which means they're not so specifically catering to, okay, these are the people we think are going to be most successful and here's what they need to know. They are going to give you more of a message that gets you in the door. Their idea is buy at all costs, right? They say things like learn this one skill to instantly unlock 10K a month. Curiously enough, they never say what the one skill is. They kind of have a blanket statement. Is closing the skill? Then why are their pipelines filled with setting jobs? Is setting the skill? Right? Then what about closing? Right? How about getting the job? Right? What is that one skill that they keep talking about that is in every Instagram ad that you see out there? They say coaches are lining up down the block to stuff your pockets full of cash and how easy it is to get the job, but they never tell you where to find them or how to find them other than just send out some cold outreach, intro videos, self-sourcing, basically. Right? They tell you exactly what you want to hear when you want to hear it. And that's why so many people are falling into the trap. I know because I've been in this industry for 7 years and because I was also lied to when I first started out. I was given the simplicity speech, easy money. I fell into all the same traps. I've seen online marketers come in, collect their cash, and leave when people catch on. They start the next business in the next niche. This is dead. Now let's try something new. I've seen sales trainers turn into copywriters, turn into online marketers, now selling real estate or crypto, right? Whatever the hot keyword is, they come in, they collect, and then they leave a pile of bodies, basically people that are struggling, right? Who have paid a lot of money and really believe that this was the opportunity, but now they have no idea how to get it. Right? The worst part is every time that one of these online marketers leaves, and I know because I've spent a lot of the time trying to get rid of them, 10 pop up. Right? When I first started 7 years ago, there was maybe 2 or 3 offers in the space. Now there's over 100, probably 200. Right? And those are the only ones we know about. Someone right now who wasn't successful in remote sales is thinking maybe it'd be easier if I just start my own offer. People who have months of experience are thinking maybe I should train it instead of do it. Right? This industry is flooded with trainers who are only here for their own self-interest. I know this because 95% of our students inside UCM come to me after investing big money into these programs. And they're left underwhelmed and frustrated and full of debt and doubt. And debt and doubt is not a good combination. My job is to pick them up from where they fell and get them the results that they were promised in the first place. Right? So sadly, there's a larger percentage of people who have accumulated too much debt or don't have the financial resources to be able to actually get the help they need. So they give up. They go back to the 9-to-5 grind. I've been saying this since the very beginning. I believe that you deserve to know the truth. And if the truth scares you away from that industry, that's okay. It's okay. It's good. Save yourself the time and heartache. If you are not willing to pay the price of admission for success, right, then you should know that up front. You should be able to make a logical and educated decision based on what you're willing to do for the return, which is success in this industry. It's not for everyone. It's okay to have that message. It's okay to come in this industry and be like, I do not want to do this, but you should have the information up front. I believe personally that remote sales is an amazing vehicle, but you need to learn how to drive it. This is the worst get-rich scheme possible in the world. There is no magic wand. There is no one secret skill that unlocks unlimited potential. It's an industry. It's part of an economy. And like anything else, there's a combination of things that you need to be successful. Right? You want to make money, then you need to learn to be valuable and communicate that value to the marketplace. No different than anywhere else. This is not some Wild West industry that operates on a different economy than every other economy. It's an exchange of value. If you don't understand where the value is, if you don't understand what the value is, then you're not going to be part of the exchange. It's that simple. Right? You should focus less on making money and more on the exchange of value. Because most marketers will tell you there's one skill and one thing that you need to learn to be successful, but I challenge that. I started to make my own list. For the last 7 years, have been dedicated myself to learning what successful people do to be successful and what people who struggle do to struggle. Right? And so I started making my own list, the essentials, the elements of success, everything that I've seen prevent people from being successful and everything that I've seen people use to become successful. Now, you've been told there's one thing, one skill. I stopped the list at 130. I could have kept going. I could have went into all the micro skills and actions. I could have made a list of 500 things, but I stopped at 130. Now, you might ask yourself, how am I any different? What if I'm just lying to you and, I have my own self-interest, which is a great question. I wish more people asked these critical questions. I wish we had more critical buyers in this industry instead of like, I have problems, you figure out, here's some money. Right? And the answer is you don't really know. You'll never know. But here's what I'll tell you. I don't need you to believe me. I don't want more people in this industry. I want less. I think there should be a lot less people. I think some people are just floating around. They aren't doing enough to be successful, but they don't like the idea of quitting. So they're just hanging on. They become remote sales drifters. There is no reward or no award for the person who hung on the longest without being successful. There's no medal of honor because you didn't do the things necessary and you didn't quit. Right? This idea that not quitting is some brave aspect. I would rather you quit. If you're not willing to do what it takes to be successful, if you're not willing to improve, I would rather you quit and find something where you're willing to pay the price. Right? But you're not going to know from me or anybody else, right, until you really uncover for yourself. That's why the majority of people come to me after they've already spent the money. They come to me after they've already had the journey because they can relate to what I'm saying. Brand new people in the industry usually don't know what the heck I'm talking about because they haven't experienced it yet. So either you are going to leverage this industry as a vehicle as it's created, or you should do something else, plain and simple. I've also been doing this as a mentor for 2 years. I've never received a negative review. No one has ever complained that I overpromised and underdelivered. You don't have to believe me, believe the students. I've built a reputation in this industry by pouring my heart and soul into the success of our students. And personally, I'm an ex-bartender and security guard. That I just stumbled upon this industry because I didn't have a lot of other options. And after I figured it out, and after I figured out I was lied to, and I took accountability and responsibility for my own actions, right, I dug in and I figured out my own strategies, and I was able to surpass 40K per month consistently. I think my best month was around 53K. I've helped hundreds of people transition successfully into this industry and surpass 6 figures. Right? For most people, that's game-changing, life-changing income. I've helped people who are in the industry 2 to 3x their income. Forget just transitioning into this industry, taking someone who's good and making them great, doubling and tripling their income. If someone is committed, I can transform their lives in a fairly short period of time. Usually takes me about 3 to 4 months completely. If someone isn't committed, there is nothing that I can do for them. If I can sense they're not committed, I will not take them on. If I'm not 100% confident that I can help someone, I will not take them on. Right? So anyways, if you're critical, that's good. I want you to be critical. I want you to be skeptical. This industry needs more skeptics. We need more critical thinking in this industry. We need more people willing to challenge the messages they're hearing and not just accept it because they're trying to avoid going to work. Right? We're trying to buy too much convenience and too much ease. It's supposed to be fucking difficult. Accept that. It's worth it. I've been on both sides. I can tell you the juice is certainly worth the squeeze. So ask yourself if you're truly committed, right? And if we stop buying the easy, convenient way, they will stop selling it. Again, their number one motivator is money. So if the truth starts selling, they're going to have to tell the truth. So the first aspect often gets overlooked, but if you really took the time to dig deeper into why people struggle in this industry, you'd find that this is usually where most of the problems lie. It's just disguised. And that's really the development stage, specifically personal and professional development. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you have developmental issues and aren't willing and able to improve them, you will struggle. So just on this list alone, just thinking about personal and professional development, I have about 70 topics where I've personally seen people struggle or fail. And on the flip side, those committed to developing in these areas will succeed. I'm not going to go through all 70 right now, but I will highlight the most important overarching ideas. Personally, these things for me include mindset, and there's really two mindsets that really kill a lot of momentum in this industry, and that's having a fixed mindset, thinking the level at which you're at is the level you're capped, right? Not having that growth mindset, and then a selfish mindset. I get a plethora of messages every single day, and it's all about what people want. I want a job. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Right? And these are strangers. These are strangers that are reaching out and saying, hey, here's my problem. The only place that's acceptable is for a prospect. I've said this before, but if you're reaching out and you're saying, here's my problems, you deal with it, you better be willing to pay someone. Because the only person that gets to come to a stranger and say, hey, can you solve my problems, is the one paying for a service. But I get it every single day, no matter how much content I put out. You have people, and I know that everybody's got a different story and some people are in difficult times. I get it. I've been there. But you are not going to get what you want by only focusing on what you want. I promise you that. You have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to adopt a growth mindset and a service mindset. How can I get better? And how can I be of service? Those two things alone will make a world of difference. Beyond that, accountability and integrity. Being able to see how aligned what you say and what you do are. A lot of people say a lot of things and very few people actually do it. That gap is probably the gap between success and failure. Because a lot of times we know what we should be doing. We know we should be going to the gym. We know we should be networking. We know we should be improving skills. But how often do you know it compared to actually doing it? That is a big gap, a big clue for success. Then there's drive and resilience. The idea that success is a straight line. Most people who've been here long enough know it's not a straight line. You come in, they say that you're going to learn everything, you apply it, and then you hit adversity. What do you do in that moment? Actually, a Harvard study found that drive was one of the top indicators of top performing ability. One of the best predictors was if someone had the drive. You will be faced with setbacks and challenges and adversity and roadblocks and rejection. This industry is filled with heartache and heartbreak. If you don't have drive, or if you're not willing to develop the drive, you will not make it. Plain and simple. You might skate by, you might make a couple grand a month, but you will not be highly successful in this industry, which is what most of us want. The other thing doesn't get talked about a lot, and it is something that can be developed, is empathy. This is the other indicator in that Harvard study of top performance. It's a blend of drive and empathy. Those are the two best indicators if someone has top performing ability. Right? Now, ability is different than whether they'll do it or not, but they have the potential. Empathy is really the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? Not to think like, oh yeah, they're going through that, but to actually feel what others are feeling. To be able to think about someone other than yourself and their perspective on life, right? We work in an industry where serving other people relies on being able to understand them. To be able to understand them, you have to feel what they feel. Next is focus and attitude. Very simply, you have to focus 99% of the time on what you can control. This is something that you get it and you get it and you conceptualize it, but I always see people reverting back to the things they can't control. They're victimizing, they're blaming, they're justifying, right? They're looking at all the things that they're worried about or stressful about, right? It burns massive amounts of energy and time. You need to have the attitude that you have everything that you need to be successful available to you, and you need to focus only on what you can control. That is your only chance. A couple other things on this end that I think are important. Discipline. As the great Mike Tyson once said, if you don't have discipline, you don't got shit. And I heard a podcast the other day from an Olympic athlete. This is top of the food chain Olympic athlete. And they were speaking of the rule of thirds. And I thought it was interesting. She said, a third of the time, I feel great and motivated. A third of the time, it's a chore. And a third of the time, I don't want to do it at all. It's the last thing I want to do. And this is Olympic athlete level. 66% of the time, they don't feel like doing the thing that they need to do. But they've realized, I don't have to act on my feelings. My feelings are fucking irrelevant. Most of you need to have that conversation and say, in this moment, fuck my feelings. They're not important. They're not the indicator of what I should do. If you're waiting, if you're an Olympic athlete and you're waiting, you're only going to get it a third of the time. Most of us are not at the Olympic level. So the chances that you're going to wake up and feel like doing everything that you need to do is so rare. So rare. If you can't overcome the desire to act based on what you feel, you will not make it. Plain and simple. You should quit now. If you're not willing to develop discipline, right, it's going to be heartache. So a big thing that's never spoken about on the personal side is self-sabotage. You're the one that's going to build the sandcastle, and you are the one most likely to destroy that masterpiece. Self-sabotage is a killer in this industry. We see people climb to the very top and fall off because they haven't dealt with that inner game that doesn't allow them to hold on to success. So anytime they take 3 steps forward, they take 4 back, right? And it comes in many forms. It can be perfectionism, can be procrastination, self-doubt, fear-based decision-making, people-pleasing, imposter syndrome, negative self-talk, avoidance, comfort-seeking, defensiveness, bad habits, excuses, blaming, justification, victimization, low self-worth. If you can't develop a worth that you're going to be successful, then you're going to sabotage yourself. Or fear of rejection, fear of failure, not being able to work through those major fears that we all have, right? And we all have a weapon of choice. The hard truth is if you don't learn to deal with these things, eventually you will destroy whatever you create for yourself. And I bet if you look back in your life, you'll see that you've done that, whether consciously or subconsciously. The tricky thing is, these things are not always easy to see. They're not easy to identify, but they are in all of us. I guarantee it. So just that list alone, no one is talking about these things, but they are the difference between most people making it or not. Most people stuck in the same spot they were this time last year. And I see it every single day. That's not even to mention the professional side. On the professional side, most of us develop bad habits as employees throughout the year, right? We get jobs when we're young, and all we want to do is collect a paycheck. It's based on the fact that we worked unfulfilling, underpaying jobs. I get it. I was that guy. I hated my jobs. I always just tried to seem like I was working, right? Where we work as little as possible in hopes to just make it through the week, living for the weekend. A lot of people bring these bad habits into this industry. The problem being, this is the performance-based industry, which means you are paid in direct relation to the value you bring to the marketplace, plain and simple. You can't avoid that. You can't hide from that. It's very vulnerable. When you get a paycheck, you know that is your direct value to the marketplace. There is nowhere to hide. You either develop as a professional or you get paid as an amateur, plain and simple. This is another topic that no one is discussing that's essential to success. the areas of professional development that someone needs to develop and improve to be successful: time management, organization, planning and goal setting, prioritizing, being productive, becoming more efficient and effective, being able to problem solve, decision making, proactive communication, just overall professionalism, showing up as a professional, ownership over tasks and responsibility, conflict prevention and resolution, strategizing and execution, adaptivity and agility, dealing with change quickly. And then, not to mention, I'm not even going to go into leadership and how many different skills there are to develop there. Right? So you can see, like, all of a sudden, we're not even on, that's 1/3 of the aspect, and I didn't even label everything. Right? So where's the one skill? What skill are they talking about that you need to be successful? Because learn the skills and then have horrible time management. See what happens. Learn the skills and not be responsible. Learn the skills and not be disciplined. See what happens. Right? These things are all important. You take one out and it starts to crumble. So one simple concept that I teach inside UCM that changed the trajectory of my career is treating my career like a business. Once I started, I never thought of myself again like an applicant or an employee. Rather, I changed, so I was a solution provider. I was a service provider. When I made that switch, everything changed. I think of my employer like my client. I sign a new client. It's my job and my responsibility to provide an exceptional service. I see a lot of closers quiet quitting. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Right? Either you show up and you provide your service, or you can't and you quit. This like hanging on to a job thing is ridiculous when you think you're representing your business. Right? Either step on the gas and do everything in your power and realize that the business is not for you, or get out. You can't have one foot in, one foot out in a performance-based industry. You have to start thinking of yourself like the CEO. You have to start thinking about yourself like the marketing team and the sales team. And what you do for your employer is fulfillment. We think of it like sales, but it's really fulfillment. It's making sure that that client is happy with your service. You're providing that service. This is a tough shift for some. It really is. But the impact is incredible. You become self-reliant and you understand that your success is your responsibility. You never have to wait around for a business to provide you anything. Now, the fun stuff. This is kind of what we're known for. Finding and landing your ideal client. I'm not talking about landing a job. Anybody should be able to do that. It's not a big deal. Right? I'm talking about the ability to confidently find and land yourself meaningful, purposeful, high income opportunities. There's a lot of people out there that have pipelines that are telling you you shouldn't be looking for that. You don't need meaning. You don't need purpose. Right? You need to prove yourself by working this stupid job for 6 months. Right? That's because that's the job they're trying to fill. They don't have your best interest in mind. Right? This is one of the most misguided aspects of this industry, because most trainers have their own pipelines. They have jobs that they need you to take. They've already told someone that they can fill the seats. So they don't want you to understand what offers to take. They don't want you to be anything but dependent on them. They don't want you to know how to effectively self-source. That's why you get generic information. Oh yeah, just send some cold outreaches and some intro videos and hope for the best. That doesn't seem like advice from someone who's taken the time to really think about the best strategy for your self-sourcing, for your independence, because they don't benefit from you being independent. They want you to take those jobs. So they tell you you're entitled if you don't take the job. They try and tell you, oh, the market is changing and we need you to be a full stack. We need you to do this. You're not going to be successful unless you do this. It's all bullshit. If they do use those words self-source, it's usually half-ass strategy is even giving them more credit. Join Facebook groups. We've had other trainers telling people to just come to me. This is other people in our space being like, oh, just join this group. They'll help you. Right? People have paid $10,000 to have some other person say, just join the other group, and they'll walk you through. That means our free training, our resources are more in depth than what they have covered in a $10,000 training, right? Join the Facebook groups, apply for jobs, send out the intro videos. That's it. This is not a strategy. At this point in this industry, it's a prayer. The average job application has 200 applicants, all waiting in line, hoping that their name is picked out of a hat. Only about 5% of applicants actually have their application seen by a real human. Think about that. I'm not talking about 5% get the job, 5% get an interview. 5% actually get seen, the application that you just took 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes to fill out. 5% chance anyone even looked at it. Forget it if you're outside of US hours or you don't have 2 years experience. Right? This is where most people struggle or fail. And they don't need to. There's no reason for it. But they can't land a job, or they land the wrong job, or they land multiple wrong jobs, or they stay in the wrong job. Right? So let's just break it down. Let's say you want to make 6 figures this year. That's what everybody was promised. Right? 6 figures, 10K a month, whatever it is. It takes you 3 months to find a job using this Hail Mary strategy. And it ends up being the wrong job. It's a rite of passage. Right? Everybody kind of jokes around, yeah, I took the wrong job. I took a couple wrong jobs. Right? So 3 months to find it. You take the wrong one. You stay in that job too long because you don't like being in the job market, because you don't know how to navigate it. Then you finally leave and it takes you 3 months to find another job. That 6-figure year you just talked about, you just lost 9 months of it. You lost 9 months of earning potential, not to mention the experience and the performance that you can leverage for other opportunities. You're lucky to come out of your first year 20 to 30K, 12 months. It's horrible. And it's unnecessary. You don't need to go about it this way. Right? It happens way too often. Once people understand the basic concepts, they're able to propel themselves faster. It's not like it's so hard to find these opportunities. You just need to know how to navigate it. You need support in that navigation. It's a total lack of understanding of the market, who these employers are, what they are looking for, how to properly vet and land your dream offer. This is one of the cornerstones that has put UCM on the map. That's kind of what we're known for. Right? We are known best for our ability to take someone brand new to this industry and help them land meaningful, high-income employment opportunities quickly. Our average student is able to do so in about 3 weeks. But we've had students come in and within 48 hours, 72 hours, right, 4 days, land 6-figure opportunities. We have people that we help them make a list of their top 10 employers. Like if they could get hired anywhere, these are the top 10. And we target that number 1 company. We've had students that get their first job in remote sales is with their dream company because they understand the market. They understand what these top companies are looking for. Right? There's a step-by-step process and it's in depth, but I'll just break down some of the elements. Again, challenging this one skill, one strategy idea. Right? We teach you how to set proper goals based on where you're at and the levels to be able to build. You're not going to go from 0 to 20K in 20 days. How are we going to build up without wasting time? It doesn't take 6 months or a year, right? But it doesn't happen overnight. So setting proper goals based on where you're at, being able to transition properly without putting your family at risk financially, right? Finding sources, finding the place where these people are, where they spend time, where's their attention going, right? Being able to build client avatars so you can understand the person that you're trying to get this job from. If you don't understand them, how are you going to speak their language? We do a whole thing on personal branding, being able to get more visibility on your brand. Most people don't know you exist, so they can't hire you. Right? Visibility and value to the marketplace. Then researching these clients, how to vet before you even pursue, how to identify what a 7 or 8 or 9-figure business owner looks like, how to be able to tell the clues from the outside so that you're not wasting time, how to develop your must-have and wish list so you know exactly the main categories of what a business needs to do for you to even consider working there, and then how to get your wish list covered. Right? Not to mention the master classes and the opportunities that we do with networking and outreach. It's a big aspect, a big pillar of what we do. Being able to book calls, avoiding interview processes, avoiding applications. But if you find yourself in an interview process, how to prepare and how to master that interview. We have students that are getting jobs over people that have been in this industry for 2, 3, 4, 5 years because they were prepared properly for the interview. Right? Dealing with objections in outreach, being able to follow up with companies that don't reach back, right? How to get referrals, the number one source of new hires, and no one's talking about it. The number one source of new hires in this industry, and no one's teaching you how to get that. You're all fighting over the bottom 30% of opportunities. It makes no sense, right? Recruiter etiquette. What are recruiters looking for? How to make sure you're at top of the pile with them, right? How to master group interviews, how to master second interviews, right? How to vet an offer properly. Not only how to vet an offer, we actually go through every single offer with you to make sure that's in alignment with your goals. We tell you what questions to ask to make sure that you're confident that it is the right decision for you. How to negotiate commissions. Right? In other programs, commissions go less and less and less over the years. Right? When I started out, 15 to 20% was standard. Now you're lucky to get 10%. We're telling you exactly what to do to get the most out of that offer. And then beyond that, how and when to take on a second offer, how to balance that out. Simply put, the number one source, like I said, of new hires is referrals. If you don't have a proven process for getting quality referrals, you are left fighting over that bottom 30%. These are stats. This is not an opinion, right? There's thousands of people putting their name in, I'm interested, right? And waiting and hoping. It's not a strategy. So in UCM, we not only walk students through step by step how to find and land great offers, we also help them making sure that not only do they just come to us with the answers, but we teach them the process and the principles so that they can do it without us. Right? I'm trying to make an independent workforce. So if they ever leave UCM, which a lot of students don't, they stay around, but if they ever leave, they know exactly how to do all these things. It's not just, do this and take that, right? It's not teaching you what to say and when to say it. There's principles behind it. And once you understand those principles, you can think for yourself. That's not what other trainers want. They want you to be dependent because they have an upsell. Right? So now you've developed both personally and professionally. You've landed the right offer. Finally, you get to the point where a lot of trainers and training resources are actually applicable. Your performance, the sales training, the objection handling. The one thing they won't tell you, right, is that if you do offer selection properly, it's easier to perform. Trainers won't tell you that sales training is not the only way that you can make money. It's not the only way you can improve. They want you to believe that if you're not making enough money, it's because you don't have enough sales training. Look around you. So many people have the same training, but the income and performance varies person to person. I can tell you from my own experience, it was easier. Think about this. It was easier for me to make $40K a month than it was $1,100 a month. Almost 40 times more income. It was easier. The sales were easier. It took more skill to close the deals on that unproven offer. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you that when you identify proven sales process companies, they have their own way of selling, and you can use their model. But you've bought in that you need to learn one way, and then you're limited because you can only sell that way. And I see it. I see people that have invested $30,000 in sales training, and they're lost because they only know what to say, when to say it in one scenario. So just on the performance side alone, you want to see your improvement on performance. Right? Just learning to choose and land the right offer will have a positive impact, a huge impact. Right? That being said, I'm not saying sales skills aren't important. Sales skills are important, but you need to be able to find your job before you can do the job. Right? The idea that learning some generic script and doing some role plays is going to turn you into a top performer, the top 1%, is absolutely insane. Anybody who feels like their script is going to turn you into the top 1%, tell them to reach out. I will have them live. Right? If they can make even one valid argument on why that's true, I will apologize. I will buy ads for them. I'll pay for their ads. Right? First of all, you need to learn how to onboard into that offer correctly. So you're not dependent on only the onboarding process. I've been with companies, they give you a booklet, like 200 pages, everything that you need to be successful. And there's still things missing. I've been with companies where they're like, yeah, here's the script, go nuts. Right? Your success is your responsibility. You need a deeper understanding of your offer and your industry and your prospect and your company and your solution. These are not things being taught in sales training. Individual basis stuff in the cracks, that's where you need to get. You need to be able to take responsibility. You need to understand your whole customer journey. What happens before you? What happens after you? What process did they have to go through? What did they watch? How did they get to you? That's important information. Right? You need to be committed to mastering communication, which is really just the sending and receiving of information, and the art of understanding and being understood. This is not something that you're going to learn just being taught what to say and when to say it. A big aspect that a lot of people struggle with throughout this industry is how to identify what areas of the sale you need to improve and how to go about improving it. Every single methodology has its limitations. I don't care which we're talking about. They all have been developed to work some of the time with some of the people. Any claims beyond this is ridiculous. There's some good methodologies out there. A lot of them aren't the method, like they didn't come up with them, right? They took it from the evolution of other methodologies and slapped their own system on it. It doesn't matter. If it works, it works. But every single methodology has its limitations. They're used to working some of the time for some of the people. That's good. Right? But if you want to be highly successful, you need to adapt and adjust to different situations and different people and different selling styles. You need a bag of tools, right? You need to be able to access different strategies for different people. I don't teach a framework inside UCM. I don't waste time telling people my way of selling is better than some of the gurus. We take what you have, whatever training you've been through, and we make you better at that. We make you a better salesperson no matter what you've invested in or if you've never invested. My goal is not to be like, oh, forget what you've learned. It's take what you've learned and make it more impactful. So inside UCM, we have 130 areas of focus in which we are dedicated to improving for our students every single day. I hope now you can see why I speak up about online marketers who say one skill and never highlight what that skill is they're talking about. Just closing in general, right? Even just closing is multiple skills and strategies and mindsets. Now, I know it can be overwhelming, but step by step, day by day, if you can commit to learning and developing, you will see progress. And if you can see progress, you can reach any point as long as you're determined enough. Right? If you continue to progress, you will be successful. If you persist, you will succeed. Right? Now, every single topic that I spoke about today and more, we cover inside UCM. Not only do we cover the topic, but we have the support and we guide every single student on implementation. We personalize the strategies to each individual and we hold them accountable to make sure they are progressing towards their goals every single day. So if you'd like to discuss what mentorship might look like for you, I will put a link in the description. You can book your remote sales career strategy session with us. I appreciate you so much. I hope you got some value out of this. Take care.